Now, a little disclaimer from the beginning of the video. As always, the values I give you are given for purely educational and informative purposes. They are there to give you direction and an overview of the data in the calculator and are not to be applied in any specific way. It is then up to you to get your experience and find out which are the right values to adjust to improve the performance of your vehicle. And now, let's go. So I had put the little info, so we see BOSCH MED9, etc. We have the tables. We are still using the most recent version of Titanium, version 2.19. With the latest driver update, it's the G331 479. You'll see that we have quite a few tables. There are many tables and many do not serve. There are a lot of them. Let's say that we're going to use barely 10 to 15% of the tables used. I'm going to give you an overview, and then you'll see there are small improvements to be made depending on what you want. But already, the data I'm going to give you here is to roughly do an internship one. So we're going to start with air control. So air control is the air that simply enters the engine. So we're going to look at the airflow through the throttle valve. We're not going to touch it. We don't need to. Engine load limiter, so we can add a little to see, so be careful. Some load limiter tables, when you touch them, well, quite simply, it makes you fault the ECU. Something doesn't suit it, despite the checksum being good, etc. Sometimes it doesn't start up. So, you put it back originally. You think about your old card. So specifically, we're not going to touch them. I'm showing them to you, but we're not going to touch them. Exhaust gas temperature, so there we can, in the case of a Stagent, we don't need to do. If you really want to get more performance, and especially in the revs, you will lower the value a little there. So, you will drop by 4 or 5% in order to lower this value. But be careful, it's a tolerance that is higher, so remember not to lower it too much. Secondly, the exhaust tables are always the same. The MAF sensor coefficient the same, you don't need to touch it, I'll show you. Minimum sensor voltage, we don't care. Offset MAF sensor, we don't care either. Desired engine load, so this one, we will increase it since we are looking to have a little more load than initially compared to the original. We will start gradually. We're not going to make it huge, although we still have to go a little. We're going to take our table from 60% of pedals, and we're going to increase, so we want to get to a bar, a stabilized bar. So we're not going to hesitate to put a lot, so there on the feather. Load, yes, we're around 600 grams stabilized. It's not quite that, but that's it. After that, you have to measure and make logs. But we can still see that he will limit us. So we increase by 30% progressively. We don't touch the bottom, because in fact we want to have more and more pressure depending on the load. If you don't want to exceed the values, then let's say I'm roughly at 1.05 bar. Here I want to maintain 900 grams on an almost full load, on almost 100% pedal. And here same, I want to maintain a semblance of a higher load, so I can do it like that. We are expressed in absolute pressure, that is to say the depression of 1 bar of everything that is in depression, and beyond 100 it is the overpressure, so 1